Game number 1 in the winners game. So this is of course like the GSL system for the group stage that we have here. 4 players, 2 play against each other, the winner goes to the winners match and the loser to the losers match, and then later we have a consolation match between the loser of the winners match and the winner of the losers match. Currently we are in the best of 3 of the winners match. We have a CVZ symbol starting to the top right of Neoplanet S. Was successful against Maxet in his first game of the day, and starting to the bottom left we have the Canadian Zerg player, it is Scarlett. She was successful against Polt with a 2-0, and therefore now we have the first game here, of course, in the winners match for her as well. Alright, so let's see what's gonna happen in this game. Right now at least no early pools just yet. So there are currently a couple of things that could happen here, and one of the safest builds that you can execute is if you go into a 14 pool and then hatch. This is kind of the if you're checking out. If you're not too happy going into either the aggressive opening with a pool early at, let's say, 10 or maybe even 9, or going for a 15 hatch, then going into the 14 pool is always safe. You will fall a little bit behind if your opponent goes into a 15 hatch, but you will still be able to come back. You will be a little bit behind though. Symbol is going exactly for that build. And Scarlett, on the other hand, she looks like she's going into the expansion at 15, so she gets the small lead here in the opening. It's a slight lead that you have. Get a bit of a build order advantage here, but it's a small one, especially in a mirror matchup. A single mistake later on with your unit control can definitely cost you that lead again, so she has to be careful here. But in the openings, especially in ZVZ, it's always like a game of chicken. There are a lot of things you can do. If you go 15 hatch, your opponent goes for 10-10, then you're basically already down a game if you don't defend perfectly, or he messes up. So yeah, that is like a little bit like rock paper scissors if you think about it, with just being maybe rock being a little bit safer. Yeah. It was like probably the weirdest analogy that I could go for. I guess you guys understood it anyways because you are awesome. Let's focus a little bit on what we currently have in the game. We currently have the spawning pool now also being built for Scarlett a little bit later, of course. She got a bit she made a little bit greedier, going even into the gas now and heading into with the gas now into the speed a little bit faster. At least she can try to hit the speed a bit faster and get therefore a slight advantage over her opponent. And in this game now in particular, it depends on the player who wins this best of 3 is going to the next round, is qualified. The loser, on the other hand, has to win another game later on. Double queen, a little bit faster for Scarlett now as well. And this is one of the awesome things. If you start with a hatch first, it doesn't really matter which matchup we are talking about, but every single time you go into a hatch first play, it means that once your spawning pool is done, the rest is also going to be completed just in time to get the double queen out there. Meaning we will have the double queen popping at the same time. So it just lines up. The hatch is done and everything else too. So yeah, that helps you quite a bit if you go into one of these scenarios here. So currently we have for both players here speed being researched a little bit faster here for Scarlett, but only by the smallest of margins. We have the Baneling Nest being built for Scarlett, so she can be a little bit more aggressive than Symbol right here at the beginning. But for now, there's of course for both players is just coming down to micro in the end. Looking at the harvester count, you can see that both of them are still very similar. We have the overlords now scouting everywhere on the map. A little bit of an attempted snipe with the queen here. Can get the overlord, nice. That is already quite awesome for her. So at this point, Symbol is supply blocked, and that's always annoying in the Zerg versus Zerg, especially in a ZVZ. So that's something that she can use to her advantage. But now the Ling running into the main base, scouting information here for Symbol. He sees the tech, and the tech here is really important. So he knows about the faster tech for Scarlett, and that is definitely something that's gonna help her out a little bit, but it also of course gives Symbol a little bit of a read what's going on. He has his own tech now at the hatch, and we have the extractors being taken. We have the spine crawler as a precaution. And in Zerg versus Zerg for a long time, especially in Heart of the Swarm, what dominated the matchup was the Mutalisk versus Mutalisk play. That was something that we saw all the time. Blizzard changed the Spore Crawlers a little bit, and with the change to the Spore Crawler, what we saw is a lot less Mutalisk play. It's still being used, and you can get the map control. Some Zergs even try to just go into it early on, like having just a little bit of Mutalisk at first to dominate the map, and Scarlett is going into the Spire now. But then later on, just trying to make it happen by transitioning out of it with the map control that you have and the easier third base that you get through it. Others have tried to go more into the Roach push. We have seen fast Ultralisks, we have seen Swarm Hosts, so a lot of things that you can actually do and try here. In ZVZ right now, there are a lot of options that you have, where you can still experiment a little bit. Queen not taking out, but we have the Lings now once again in the main base, and the Spire tech has been revealed. This means now that at this point, Symbol just has to build a couple of Spore Crawlers in his base to be safe. And also what he's doing is he's going into a Spire tech on his own. So with his own Spire tech now coming up, he can just play this game where we are looking at third bases and we are looking at gas. The Zerglings are designed to do some damage and make sure that there's no third base for the opponent. And the gas is all that it comes down to. A little bit of bailing aggression here. No, there's the third base now for Scarlett. So the player who has more gas will have the better upgrades for the Mutalisk and will also have more Mutalisks, which is the most important part here. That's like the one thing that really counts. And then it becomes an issue who chickens out first, who goes for transition, who builds the Spore Crawlers and tries to back out of it, or who commits completely. We have now +1 armor upgrade being started right now, and with that Scarlett will already take a bit of a lead depending on what exactly Symbol is going to do, but he also has a little bit less gas than Scarlett. Here comes the third base now, a little bit later, but already spotted by Symbol. Gas has to be taken here. The Lings are immediately heading over, trying to make that work, but the Mutalisks are now granting the map control. And the Mutalisk count is of course going to be really crucial. And Symbol is at this point also kind of forced to do something about the opponent's third base, or at least get a third on his own, because without the third here he has no chances of actually like getting the gas count up and therefore keeping up with Scarlett's production. So here comes the third for him. Lings are running in once again. Ooh, sniping the Queen here, important. Not quite, because we have immediately a transfuse being set up, but in the end the Queen will... Oh, wow, it survives. Fuck my life, 2 hit points. There was one Zergling over there that could have finished him off immediately. Oh, that is so annoying right now for Symbol. Symbol currently at 9-9 Mutalisks, but he is falling behind. The armor upgrade will be done for Scarlett a lot faster. Gas already been taken. Great timing here. I love it when a Zerg player does that. Way too few Zerg players actually take the extractors before the hatch is completed. I like that a lot. Here we have now the Mutalisk fight. +1 is to be done very soon. More Mutalisks streaming in. And Scarlett has the additional gas already. The Lings even up here trying to deny that third for as long as possible. And now Symbol is really starting to have a big problem. Now he's really starting to have a problem. He can't fight at this point because he is up against the armor upgrade already. He himself doesn't have the armor upgrade completed. And Scarlett is already mining gas at the third base, whereas he has just now started his own, is losing even additional Mutalisks right now. This is not looking too good for him. 12 against 13. But Scarlett will have the better production. Symbol loses another one. That base has to be cancelled, and the only thing that Scarlett has to do right now is really defend her third base. And that's why we have a couple of Zerglings already here. The Mutalisk heading home right now. The Queen will be taken out this time, but the third base should be able to survive. With the Mutalisk coming home and everything else moving in, that should not be an issue to save that third base. Lings are doing a good job here, and now the drones are back in the extractor. So the income in gas is just so much better, and Symbol knows it. He has no third base, he has no chances of actually killing the third base for Scarlett. GG! Scarlett takes game number 1.